week, we talked with the Director of Global Affairs at SolaMed Solutions, Dr. Michelle Hailey. We had a really great time talking with her. We learned about her origin story of entering the space industry, meeting Dr. Mark, and then diving into the space industry that we have here on Earth. We learn about the space culture, international partnership, and another non-traditional path to entering space, which we love, and there are plenty of. So it's always a good lesson for these people of space and science episodes. If you're looking for a path to enter into the space or the science field, there are many. We get to hear another one here today. So buckle up and get ready for another episode of Today in Space and a People of Space segment with Dr. Michelle Hailey. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Let's dive in. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Today in Space. We're back for an episode of People of Space, and this week we get to talk to more of the talented people over at SolaMed Solutions. We interviewed Dr. Saralyn Mark a few episodes ago. It was a great interview. We've kept in touch, and now we get to explore more of the experienced team over there. And today we get to talk with Dr. Michelle Hailey. Michelle, thank you for being on.
Hi, Alex. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you. And so you're the Director of Global Affairs at SolaMed.
That's correct. Yes.
Could you tell us more about what you're doing there?
Wow. Well, the thing that I think that's really great is that with SolaMed, we're really guided by a commitment to improve human health, right, and performance through cutting edge technologies. And so I am kind of aligning my global background in international business and organizational leadership, psychology, as well as just being I call myself kind of like a global citizen, right? So I'm utilizing all of that experience to just really help kind of leverage the commitment in that area. So
that's great. And one of the journeys that I've been on after starting this podcast, going to school for aerospace engineering, I thought that was the only way to get into the space industry. And it turns out there are so many different ways of getting into the space industry. And space is a global industry. Yes, the U.S. might be still leading in space and stuff like that, but we have an international space station. Teams from across the world work together. So, someone with your experience, now knowing what I know, it makes a lot of sense why you would want to have someone with your talents on a team like that.
Mm-hmm. And plus, a lot of things, as you mentioned, it's bigger than just kind of like one arena. And we really do through 3 different verticals. Within SolaMed, we do consultancy, education, and operations. And so one of my other hats that I wear is a professor. I teach at the Chicago school, the DC campus. And so I teach organizational leadership, cultural intelligence, ethics, all of these different kind of topics. And so the thing that's really exciting for me is it's like if you look at kind of core values or core modules, they really, like, my background aligns with the mission and the vision of SolaMed. And so I think it's just really a great partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. So take us back. Tell us your origin story of, like, what got you down this road. Was that something that was always interesting to you? Did you find your way there? How did it all shake out?
Wow. Well, the thing that's really interesting that I reflect on a lot and talk about is just kind of my history growing up. So I was born in Philadelphia, raised in southern New Jersey, the Cherry Hill area, and took my first international trip when I was 8 years old. My dad took us it was a family trip. We went to Freeport, Bahamas.
Cool.
Well, I thought, like, oh my gosh, I mean, my head just was going to explode because I was like, this is captivating and exciting. And so just the notion of different culture, food, different just experience, right? That actually started my whole global citizen journey. And so I got bit by the bug, with that. And then just I went to school in Washington, D.C. at Howard.
Mm.
I was a fashion major originally. And
Oh,
so, I mean, what is the natural progression, Alex, for fashion? You have to live in Paris,
right.
right? So it only makes sense,
It
right?
does.
So I was like, well, gotta go.
I'm going to
And my
Paris.
parents were like, yeah, get a job. We're not paying for it. So what I wound up doing was getting a scholarship, and I went into international business,
Awesome.
right? So living in Paris and abroad, I mean, you could just travel to all countries and
Yeah.
everything. And so I just took advantage the 2 years that I was living there,
Mm.
just kind of going all over the place.
Yeah.
And again, it just builds to your background and your experience,
Mm.
engaging with different people, with different cultures, different industries, that
Right.
kind of thing. And then I landed back in the States in New York for a number of years. And then I moved back to
Mm.
DC. And it was funny because the year that I moved back in DC, which was 2009,
Mm.
that first couple of months, I met
Yeah.
Dr. Mark. So
Wow.
we were at an event and she was by herself, I was by herself, like our colleagues, they were doing their own thing. So we were like, well, we're going to just go on our own. And we wound up just kind of chatting and
Ah.
connecting, and we were fast friends and colleagues from that point.
Mm.
And so all of the different initiatives and the work that she was doing as well as that I was doing, we would incorporate and include each other in it.
Mm.
And I remember early on with SolaMed when she was just like really kind of getting, things going, getting it out there. I was in marketing at the time. Again,
Mm.
another hat, Alex.
And traveling. Traveling is
And
there too.
traveling,
Yeah.
right. And so I was a marketing professional in a corporate organization. And so I worked with her to help her, with the marketing and promotion of
Yeah.
SolaMed at that time.
Ah.
So I've been around it and connected to her for many, many years.
Mm.
And so I really give Dr. Mark kudos also because having the vision to bring people from different industries and
Mm.
not just specifically with the space area.
Yep.
She's got a great kind of vision
Mm.
for that. And I really wanted to just like thank and appreciate her because she has identified people and pulled us all together as a really great collaborative team.
Yeah.
And that helps too, for
Yeah.
sure. So,
Absolutely. And it
yeah,
really is bucking the trend in the space industry to not just,
absolutely it is.
yeah, yeah, more
Because you
than
go
maybe
in the
some others.
industry and you see a lot of the same people,
Yes.
that have kind of gone in the same arenas, but it's like she's like, but it's a worldwide thing, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
a global thing. So why are we not
Right.
connecting with, collaborating with, and having people on our team from that greater, the bigger world,
Yeah.
so to speak.
No, it's
So
and
that's how
for
that came together.
so cool. So cool.
Thank you.
The marketing aspect, the like networking aspect of any industry, but definitely the space industry. I mean, the story of you guys just like meeting each other at one of these like events or meetups, like that's where the magic really happens. And like for a
For
lot of
sure.
people, like you guys found like work with each other, right? Like that's these kind of things. They start off as friendships and then they become work maybe later. It's kind of a magical thing.
For sure.
Hmm.
And the one thing that people don't really, I don't want to say as a whole, but I think it's a lost art form
Mm,
in modern times is really building the relationships,
mm,
right? Because there was a time when, you just connected with people and you did different things based on the relationship that you have with that person.
mm.
Or the person that you had the relationship with may have referred you to someone else. And
Yep.
so it was really more of an organic kind of coming together.
Mm,
But it was just so powerful, if you think about it. And so that's something that I think is a little lost now.
hmm.
But the fact that we're able to, do that in this kind of platform, I think is really exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, even myself, I've been podcasting, getting to know people in the industry like this, which has been amazing. But you know, I also have not had the time until I'm starting to make that a priority here, going to these shows, meeting other people. I was working a day job in roles that just didn't allow for the travel. It was
Well,
hard engineering work, and you weren't going to a trade show when there was a trade show. But
right,
I,
right.
I do think that's where I need to be. So, but that's great. So it's cool. You had this kind of origin story of you got the bug of traveling, and kind of it sounds like the roles that you decided to take on all kind of facilitated you being able to get out to the world, to see people, to
For
meet
sure.
people. Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
what about your education, your all of this experience that you've had? What's some of the big things that you've taken away? You mentioned some of them already. What has it taught you?
Oh man. It's taught me to really be a student of life,
Hmm.
for life,
Hmm.
right? One of the things that was very kind of pivotal in my family, kind of the background was, our faith, our education, community, those were like really kind of core values
Hmm.
as a whole, as a family, and just kind of growing up. And so a large majority of family members are educators.
Hmm.
And so that was something that was just kind of like core for me. And so having that lifelong commitment to education and also empowerment,
Hmm.
that was another thing that just seeing my grandparents, for example, they were really very active in our church, but not just in that arena, but it's like in everyday life, seeing them
Yeah.
helping people and in engaging with people,
Hmm.
and how people um just kind of were drawn to them and reacted to them because they just had that heart to
Yeah.
serve, right? They were really like servant leaders, if
Right.
you want to, say.
Hmm.
And so, as an educator, and then actually recently, I was nominated to be a global peace ambassador for the United Nations,
Oh,
which is like super exciting. That happened in
yeah.
September.
Cool.
And so,
Congrats.
I've now official
Congratulations.
in that role. And so, plugging into that platform because there are so many different initiatives that the
Mm.
UN is doing that, as peace ambassadors, not like you're assigned to a country,
Right.
right? But you're a peace ambassador from a global perspective so
Mm.
that any kind of initiatives globally
Mm.
that we can plug into, and represent and serve in that capacity, right? And
Mm.
so, doing all of that and being an advocate for cultural intelligence, like I mentioned, that I teach, which is one of
Right.
my most exciting courses that I
Mm.
that I love. But what it's taught me is that we all really have the same um, core desire,
Mm.
right? We want connection. I mean, we're really created and built for that. We're not really built to be isolated, right?
Yep.
And just learning the fact that, as I was mentioning to you before about the relationships, but learning that collaborating with people, connecting with people
Mm.
I mean, it's so important. It really is. And I
Mhm.
think that beyond just business or work, just as a whole, as a society, that it's really something that we should nurture and hone more, I
Mm.
think, because I think we'll kind of have a better a better world and a better experience with so much going on now. It's like, you know,
Mhm.
come on, it's this humanity, right? It's just
100%.
the human element,
Mhm.
right? Respecting people, having common courtesy for others,
Mhm.
right? Looking out for your brother, looking out for your sister.
Mhm.
I mean, just ba- basics.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we definitely lost it, but I do feel, I mean, obviously COVID and all the chaos that's happened over the last, we'll call them 6 years,
Hmm.
never mind the lead up to that, has just been an experience. You know, there's a theory that we have on the podcast. We'll talk about it later, but
Okay.
the space conundrum, and
Oh, yes.
this idea of societal chaos coming with progress in space. And
Hmm.
um, do you guys see the progress in space from your perspective with human health and performance with SolaMed? Is there like an increase of that with you
I don't
guys?
know about it. I don't know about an increase, but I
Mm,
think that it's a shift,
yeah.
right? Because the the whole notion of space exploration and um, just kind of how it was very siloed as
Mm,
to who could kind of be in that arena. I think that now that it's opening up, it's
mm,
changing.
mm,
So I can say that I think that a lot of the strides that have been made, a lot of the things that we're trying to do, excuse me, to further open the community, I think that
mm.
it's good.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, the consistency, if you keep being consistent, plugging into different communities, getting other people on board so
Mm,
everybody is like on the same page, I think as a progression, I think it's going to go well for sure.
yeah. I I definitely see it moving in that direction. Um, talk about space culture for a little bit. Um, do you see is there a space culture like across the different countries and the different folks that you guys will work with, or does each kind of have their own? Do they bring their own culture to the space culture, or is it something else entirely?
Well, it's I equate that to to cultural intelligence,
Mm,
right? And so um in the course that I teach, when and I ask my students, when you think of cultural intelligence, what does that mean to you?
mm,
And typically out the gate, they say, you know, different backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds,
right.
different religions, that kind of thing,
Mm,
very kind of linear. But, I talk about how there's culture in every aspect and area of life,
mm,
right? So you have culture within organizations, you have culture within areas, regions. So we have the United States, right? There's a
mm,
different culture in New York than there is in Florida.
yep.
And then even within those states, there are subcultures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, when you have different countries, not only are they bringing their traditions, their background, and their culture. So yeah, it's going to be very different.
Yeah.
But the core part of space exploration and all of that, I think, is the foundation is there.
Mm,
But having that um, cross culture and different perspectives, I think is really one of humanity's most profound strengths,
mm,
right?
yeah.
And the fact that you're able to have different perspectives and different um, ideologies to come to the table.
Mm,
I think that's what really makes it great, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and from an engineering perspective, like I loved when, engineering, we're so lucky here in the US. It's such a multicultural experience. We have people from
Hmm.
around the world, and you get to see, even within those dynamics, people think the same, people think differently. But a great team is diverse in thinking and how they solve problems. You
For
know,
sure.
it's a slightly different, but obviously part of the same diversity of thought
Hmm.
and all that. But very cool stuff. Uh,
Absolutely.
leadership. What is good leadership uh, from your perspective? Because I feel like we live in a world where we both really need. There's a high demand for it, but there doesn't seem to be a large supply of it, unfortunately.
For sure. And I'm kind of laughing and smiling because it's like you're touching on all the classes, all the courses that I
Oh, that's
teach.
so funny.
So another one of the courses that I teach is organizational leadership, right?
Ah,
And one of the questions that I ask my students is what you asked me is like, what is a leader? What makes a
right.
good leader? What different types of leaders are there? So that's another course that really just kind of gets me, excited
Yeah.
because it's something that um, is not cut and dry.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I
Yeah.
always talk about to my students that I say, if you don't leave with anything else, from this course, know that leadership, good leadership, positive leadership,
Hmm.
um, is foundational. The foundation of it is self-reflexivity.
Hmm.
And I'm actually in the process of writing a book regarding
Oh, awesome.
self-reflexivity. And it just really talks about how, as a leader, you have to consistently be self-reflective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And humble.
Mm.
You have to be able to, look in the mirror and say, okay, what can I do different? How am I contributing? And it's almost like kind of taking a back seat in a way and allowing the people around you to kind of like inform you,
Mm.
understanding and learning the different personalities, learning the other different leadership styles within your group,
Mm.
and also learning what people's strengths are. And I don't necessarily call them weaknesses, but areas of development,
Mm.
right? So a lot
Yeah.
of times, when you have certain leaders, if someone is um, has an area of development that they need to work on,
Mm.
a lot of times what leaders will do is take them off of that particular project, or maybe not be positive about their actions or the way that they work, versus, okay, let's find a way to either like connect you with someone that can
Mm.
help you develop that, right? Like partnerships, almost like a
Mm.
like a peer mentor kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Mm.
But I think that really it's being able to identify the people that you have within your group, your teams,
Mm.
where their strengths are, where their areas of development are, and being able to strategically like work all of those parts and pieces.
Mm.
And then the other piece I think too is to be able to kind of be heard. Right.
Mm.
So a lot of times, people think of leaders as, I'm taking the charge, you do what I say. And it's like, no, I want to sit back and hear from everybody else. Like,
Mm.
what do you have to contribute? What are your thoughts? What are your ideas?
Right.
Right. And being able to take that and also to create an environment with a safe space
Mm.
where people feel comfortable to share, right? And
Yeah.
to contribute and not feel like, well, I'm not going to say anything because it's not going to go well,
Uh-huh.
or it's not going to be well received, or, I'm going to be kind of knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's really important to be mindful of all of those things.
Well, and
Yeah,
what you're describing is the fact that it's not easy and that it actually
it's
takes
not
a lot of
easy,
work,
for
which
sure.
it feels like antithesis, like it feels like the opposite of what most workplaces are now. It feels like
Hmm.
they are moving too fast, that nobody has time for these things, even though they may recognize
Hmm.
that it's important. Um, and the space industry is strange because it moves very fast, but also very slow at the same time,
Hmm.
especially in the human aspect. Human missions take a very, very long time to plan and
For sure.
execute. So, those relationships are even more important then. And, at the end of the day, if a leader is doing a good job, they're aligning the incentives for everybody. But that's also to what you were describing, even down to like, what is this person looking for? Like, what motivates them? How can we make them happy being here
Mm,
too? Because I think every leader would want the people working for them to be happy, especially if they love what they do.
for
Um,
sure. And then the
it,
other piece,
yeah,
like I had mentioned to you earlier about relationships, it's like build a relationship with the people
yeah,
that you're around,
mm,
right? Not, outside of the work and things that you do, what are their interests?
mm,
Like, what is their family dynamic? Do they have siblings? Are they married? Do they have kids?
yeah,
I mean, just all of do they have hobbies?
right.
All of those different kinds of things to
Hobbies are a great one.
let
Yeah,
for sure. Yes. And I mean,
hmm,
I think it's so important because then that also um, builds trust, builds reliability, connection, and all of that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so we have things like the International Space Station that have been this, you know, place where we've had no borders for pretty much the most part. It's a place where we can look down at the Earth and not actually see those lines that exist only on a map.
Hmm.
We get to see kind of the whole picture, and it's been. I'm glad it still exists in the time that we live in, and
For sure.
we're transitioning out of this time where eventually the International Space Station will not be running as it is today, or maybe it'll get decommissioned. And then the question is, what comes next? And so we have this big private progress that we have going on in space. The access to
Hmm.
space is dropping, the cost is dropping, which and more access to space for human beings. Um, as someone working with global affairs, like how does this next space race, and this private injection into this space industry, what is it doing for someone in your role and just the the culture of space right now?
Um, well, that's really a great question because,
Thank you.
um, I think that it's really helpful because it gives us an opportunity to have a lot more like platforms, a lot more inroads. One of the things that we're
Mm,
really excited about doing is looking at the different space agencies around the globe,
mm,
right? So the agencies, the conventions, the conferences, like all of those different things that we're looking at and just really gleaning and getting information,
mm,
and also being able to participate in those different things, right? And
yeah.
so that really is going to help kind of inform us in terms of how we're going to move forward with the global perspective
Mm,
and educate people, right? And so it's like taking all of that information, it's like high up, right? It's like taking all of this information and it's like
mm,
bringing it down to this level because a lot of times when people talk about space exploration and that kind of thing. And even with myself being not in the industry,
right.
right? It's like I'm still learning and
Right.
still, right? So I mean, it's still sometimes I feel like I'm still a newbie. I'm like, I'm still
Yeah.
new at
Yeah.
this. And sometimes the speak goes over my head, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let me just go back and research some of that. But I think that
Yeah,
it's just really it's helpful to people like me, right, as I continue to learn.
totally.
But yeah, I think that at this point it's really great because it's opening it up for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and luckily we have, you know, at least one spacecraft that's able to send humans to space. There's multiple being worked on that, the US can send up themselves. Um, do you see an increase in the interest of humans going to space? Or, I think for many decades we've had kind of robots go first, then humans. Um, where do you see it in kind of the global culture, the global conversation about humans in space?
That's it's funny because I was just thinking about how I mean even um what do you call it? I'm trying to think of the word. The shows, like even
Mm.
even on TV,
Yep.
right? They do episodes. Like I
Yep.
saw an episode of 911.
Yes.
Did you see
I've
that?
seen it. Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is kind of cool, right? I mean, so anytime that it's now on your weekly show,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, we've arrived, right? So
Yeah.
I think in that sense, it like kind of answers your question, right?
Right.
Because they're trying to normalize it,
Mm-hmm.
and just make it like this is what we do. This is just a thing.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal as much as people thought like back in the day. It was
Mm.
just like just pie in the sky,
Right.
right? And only a certain select group of people were able to do it, were able to
Mm-hmm.
learn about it, able to explore it. And I think that me as an educator, which is, I love that because when you give people information and you educate them on
Mm.
something and their mind opens, it's
Yeah.
like the more that you continue to do that and
Mm.
normalize things. And a lot of times people, um, when they don't understand something, they
Mm.
just they're like, I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
But the more information you give them and the more that you educate them, and then you make it exciting and normal, they
Yeah.
can watch it on TV in their favorite show. They're like, oh, they just, put on a little suit, took a little training, and went up into space. I mean, I know it's bigger than that for sure,
Yeah.
but, when people see that, I think that it's going to really
Yeah.
kind of pull people in even more so,
Yeah.
for
I mean,
sure.
it's the culture, right? Yeah.
Right,
It's
absolutely.
mm-hmm. And we in culture is not always like the best thing in the world. It's almost like sometimes in the culture it's like a growing moment. And so
Right.
we saw that with the Blue Origin, the New Shepard trip to the Kármán line with the all-female flight. That
Yes,
definitely blew up out of proportion. Um, but it still staged the conversation for a bunch of people to be talking about it
for sure.
and pushed that conversation further. So,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. It's always
That's funny you saw the episode.
I've been watching that trailer. Now, I've got my problems with the physics of it. They picked a
Well,
rocket.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
they
sure.
picked a
I'm
rocket that
sure.
doesn't go that far into space, but it's a real rocket and a real
Oh,
spacecraft. So
okay.
that is dope.
Okay.
That doesn't happen
Okay.
very
I
often.
love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I gotta respect
For
it.
sure. For sure. Oh, that's great.
It's so fun. So talking about that, so uh, with it becoming more a part of the culture, the zeitgeist, and humans going into space, the definition of an astronaut has kind of been, well, it's been evolving for sure,
Hmm.
and it's kind of in this like sticky state where it's not quite, it hasn't really been fully flushed out. The FAA has like deemed certain things like what they would deem an astronaut, but all these space agencies can technically call their folks whatever they like. So that group, that really small group that was once there, is starting to expand.
Right.
And for you guys and SolaMed and just the global space culture, that's going to mean more types of human beings going up into space, less controls from maybe a medical perspective in the uh, population of people that are going up there. So there's going to be a
Right.
lot more different variables. We're going to really start figuring out like where the limits of human beings are, or maybe certain types of human beings. I know when Dr. Mark was on, we were talking about how the protocols change, even from a male and a female perspective.
Yes. Yes.
Could you talk more about that? I mean, it feels like that's such fresh ground for you guys.
Yeah, and that's so exciting because um we actually through another organization, iGiant, that Dr. Mark is has spearheaded and founded. We do a lot of workshops, seminars around gender.
Mm,
right? And how it relates. And so one of the things that's really exciting is um, having, and we do it at different platforms. We do it university, like, from student perspective, we've done it with different organizations, and just really talking about how um, the different things that are created within our world,
mm,
how they relate to us, gender wise. So, for example, um, we did a roundtable
mm,
with a group, and a lot of them were physicians,
mm,
and a lot of them were female physicians.
mm,
And they were saying that the machines, when they use the machines, the way that the machine is built, and they have to put their hand around the machine and stand and, do the procedure, it has wear and tear on their bodies
mm.
because of the way that it's built, right? And it's like you don't
Yeah,
even think about, that kind of dynamic,
totally.
right? And then there was another company, it was a furniture company.
Mm,
And the gentleman was there. And so Dr. Mark was talking about, if they had within their R&D, if they looked at the way that women are, the way that our arms are, the way that our legs, as it relates to, a desk. And I know
mm,
we have these, standing desks and that kind of thing that can move and go up and down or whatever. But it's like even with the chairs. And so a lot of the research and the data that talks about the differentiation between, the male kind of composition and the female composition is just different. The other thing that we talked about, we did another kind of roundtable in a gym,
mm,
and we talked about how the equipment is not built for women's bodies. I mean,
mm.
yes, we're able to use it and that kind of thing, but ergonomically,
Right.
it's not created for, to really align, right? So
Yeah,
there's just so many different aspects that you don't even think about. And
right.
even with cars, steering wheel, the foot pedals, even
Mm-hmm.
with cutlery, even with
Yeah,
flatware. I
totally.
can go on and on and on. It's just so many different things that you don't even realize and think about
Yeah.
that are made differently.
Mm,
And so as it relates to space, we've talked a lot about that because, the equipment, the uniforms and all of that, they're just not made for female bodies.
right.
Just that is just not, it's not the norm. Let me
Right.
just say that. I
Yeah.
mean, we now have, kind of tailored to the female that go into space, but I'm just saying as a whole across the
Right.
board, it's not a standard. It's not standardized. Let me just say that.
Yeah. No,
And
it's
so,
a great point. I mean, historically, NASA chose not to choose women as astronauts in the early days. So like that is just
right,
that's in the history. And the interesting thing about space is it's harder to hide uh, things that need to be solved when you've got like a crew of 4 to 5 people in a spacecraft, right? Like, there's no reason for that crew member, like, why not change the handle to adjust so that all the crew members can, you know, access everything in the easiest way possible? It's,
right,
and it's small enough that you can then take action to actually solve it. So it's one of the things I love about the space industry, especially human space, is that it's so ripe for iteration and developing. And from a mission planning perspective, from with humans, like there's a lot that goes into planning it, from a physical level to a nutritional level to a
for
psychological
sure.
level. Um, I mean, making sure that a team works well together is such a huge part of a human mission. Developing that team over time. Um, have you had any experience in that type of thing?
Not personally.
Mm.
So yeah, and that's what I was saying, like there are a lot of different areas still that I'm learning
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
and still have not had the opportunity to really um explore it firsthand.
Yeah,
right? So I'm excited and looking forward to being able to do that for sure. So
definitely.
the next time you have me on, I'll be able to maybe talk about
Awesome.
it.
Awesome. Awesome. No, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm also, I mean, if we're talking about the spectrum of, space show hosts, I certainly am a lot more like, oh, wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. But that's
Hmm.
part of the allure. It's like, oh, I'm learning
For
it with you too,
sure.
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we talked about astronauts. Uh, I think the evolving term of it is interesting. It's definitely uh, there's a few different camps. There's the camps of kind of what is standard, right? Of
Hmm.
um, the Mercury astronauts, those early Apollo astronauts. Um, the space shuttle era doesn't get as much, I think, credit as they should. I mean, the amount of human science that was done with the shuttle, and we built a space station.
For sure.
Like we, we sent astronauts out to fix a telescope that wasn't working. Like
Hmm.
it's some serious stuff. And now we're moving towards Artemis, where we're going to have the first woman, the first person of color to orbit the moon. We've got the first Canadian. Those are while we probably could be further along. Those are big
Yeah, for
things to be
sure.
happening within the
Yeah,
next year.
absolutely.
It feels like not enough people are talking about it yet, but that's why we're talking about it here.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think too that we were talking about kind of collaborations, and
Mm.
one of the things that really excites me about being being a part of SolaMed is the fact that we're bringing like really large communities, former NASA,
Mm.
space officials, outside agencies, and doing that to really create powerful opportunities for innovation,
Mm.
right? So it's a kind of a cross cultural collaboration,
Mm.
right? And being able to do that, one of the things that we're actually working on is we're launching a 7-part roundtable series on bioethics and space medicine for
Oh,
commercial exploration. And so,
love
with
that.
this kind of initiative and platform, we're going to be able to continue to shape a global dialogue that's really culturally rich,
Mm.
but also scientifically advanced, right? So,
Right.
we're really excited about that.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that it's tough. There's so much progress happening, right? And unless you're doing something like that, you're creating these cultural moments of bringing people together and educating and giving out information like that.
Hmm.
It's super important, especially for the like you're saying, the complex thing that is like humans living in and performing well in space. Like get that
Right.
information out there because those companies are going to go whether that information is given to them or not, which is the other side of the private side of things. But
Exactly.
you guys are intersecting that. Like that's the cultural play.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
love
that's the
that.
thing that's really exciting for sure. Because, like I said, as I'm learning myself in this role and
Mm,
learning about the industry and connecting with different people, I think that it's really exciting,
yeah,
right? To be able to contribute to the whole conversation,
yeah.
right? And kind of having input and say and all of that. So it's a really exciting thing to do. And so I always, commend and tell Dr. Mark that just being that visionary,
Mm,
right, for her to have the vision to be able to do that,
mm-hmm.
I think is just outstanding. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's
Dr.
exciting
Mark.
for me.
Dr. Mark is awesome, and the reason we're connecting is because of her. Like I think that just
For
shows
sure.
you what kind of person she is.
Exactly. We talked about that leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
definitely speaks to that type of leadership that we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, so we talked about the space conundrum before. Uh, it definitely feels like we are at this next space conundrum. Like it is accelerated a lot. There's a lot of societal chaos right now. Uh, but also the space progress is happening. We NASA's been in a strange place for the last year, right?
Hmm.
Without a NASA administrator. Today was Jared Isaacman's Senate confirmation committee meeting. So where the committee decides to bring him to the Senate to vote if he'll be the leader of NASA. So still multiple
Got
steps,
it. Okay.
but um, it has been it's been interesting. He's one of the few people that I think, and it's been shown from the people in the space industry that have come to support him, astronauts, uh, politicians on both sides of the aisle. That doesn't really happen that often, and I think uh, it's an interesting time to think about. Wow, could NASA have an empathetic leader that has some
Mm,
competent chops? Maybe isn't a politician, but that actually might be a good thing. Um, I really hope that NASA has a strong leader, whoever it is, whether it's Jared or not. We're at this pivotal point where we've had all this progress after almost, retiring NASA from with the space shuttle, right? And
for
losing a
sure.
lot of its power. We the private industry came in, NASA flowered those seeds, they grew, and now we're ready to go back to the moon and to maybe Mars after that. Um, I what's been your feeling in the global culture around NASA this last year, especially someone with kind of fresh eyes on the industry? Has it come up, or what's the temperature out there in the culture?
I'm speaking for the culture. No. I mean, I'm the representative for the culture.
Your flavor on it.
No, no, I'm just teasing. So, but I mean, but the space conundrum, it definitely raises an intriguing point, right? Because, um, as I was talking about with humanity, just as a whole, as it accelerates and pushes into space, a lot of times we see a rise in social tension.
Mm,
Um, and it's really not a coincidence, really, but as um, kind of natural responses, the disruption, like all the things that are going on, I think that um, there have been really major leaps with the exploration, right? And what really happens is it's like it's challenging our beliefs,
mm,
the economies, global power, infrastructure. But I think that the culture is just really shifting to the fact that um, we want to be a part of it,
mm,
right? We want to be more involved. We want to be able to have kind of more input, more say, um, and more informed,
mm.
right? Because a lot of times it's like the information doesn't come out until something is already about to be implemented.
Right.
So it's like we're not hearing about
Yeah.
what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Uh huh.
It's like, okay, we're now going to just kind of,
Yeah.
do this. And we're going, okay, like we didn't hear anything
Yeah.
about it. Like, do we get a say? Do we get any, input?
Right.
And so I think that part of the culture is that wanting to just be a part of the process in
Mm.
some kind of way. And that's not everyone,
Yeah.
but at least giving people the opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
That want to participate, be included, or plug in.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that that's really what it is.
No, that's
So,
good to hear. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. If we get a good leader for NASA, there is a lot of work that needs to be done. So I hope everyone's up for it. It sounds like
Yeah, for
everyone is.
sure.
So
For
yeah,
sure. For sure. But again, like we were talking about the type of leader, it's going to take someone really impactful,
yeah,
to be able to do that. So
yeah.
that's going to be interesting
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
We'll see.
We that we will.
We'll see.
We're already a year behind the usual process, so you really never know what's going to happen.
All right.
Uh, uh, but Dr. Michelle, this has been really fun. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing everything that you're doing with SolaMed. Is there any like last minute thoughts or themes that you want people to leave with from our talk here today?
Well, thank you, Alex, for having
Absolutely.
me. This is so exciting. I really appreciate the fact that you have, such an excitement and enthusiasm for, um, for SolaMed just in general, and the
Yeah.
fact that, you want to plug into, all of the leaders. So thank you for giving us this platform and the opportunity. And so I really want to just share that, as we move forward again, just really kind of with that self-reflexivity. And one of the things that I talk about in my course is that, you can lead at any level. You can
Mm.
lead in any area. We're all leaders,
Yep.
right? Even if you're leading yourself, right? And
Yep.
so that being said, it's like, always just kind of be self-reflective, kind
Mm.
of take a look, how am I showing up in the world? How can I serve?
Mm.
How can I contribute? Right. And so one of the things, a quote, and I think it's an unknown author. I don't know who the
Mm.
author is, but it stated, service is the rent that we pay to live on the planet.
Mm.
Right. And so that's something that I really try to kind of keep also at the core, how can I contribute? How can I serve? What can I give? Because, really our contribution to the world, to humanity makes a huge, huge difference. Right. So I really think that as an organization, our um, contribution in that way, I think is like super important.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, just in the terms of, how we're trying to go about making a difference in what it is that we do. So I think that's kind of
I
where I
love it.
kind of
And
leave it.
I love that analogy of paying rent on this planet. I think it fits perfectly for this podcast because, you know, our mission is to spread love and spread science,
For
and it's
sure.
about humanity. It's about staying curious. So I thank you so much for sharing your story, your origin story, and letting us look a little bit deeper into like what it means to be a part of this global thing that is humanity, but also us going into space in the final frontier.
For
So
sure.
thank you
And
so
I'm
much.
also excited and looking forward to continue to learn more. So
Yep.
thank you because, as you were talking and just looking at, some of the information that you sent, to me to, again, with educating myself.
Oh, well,
So
I'm
I
honored.
can, yes. So thank you so much and congratulations on doing this podcast and keep doing what you're doing. This is great.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
you're welcome, Alex.
All right. Folks, spread love, spread science, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next episode of Today in
See you
Space.
next time. Thank you.